So I was wondering the other day, is there any way to succeed and to achieve your goals without embarrassing yourself along the way? Because we already know that you can't win without failing first. That part is clear, but can you actually try and fail and not make a fool of yourself in the process? Like, is embarrassment really necessary? Is embarrassment really the price of entry, as people used to say? And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that embarrassment isn't that inevitable. You can actually avoid it. Because if you think about it, if you really think about it, embarrassment is just a feeling we consciously associate to failure in some instances. In other words, feeling embarrassed is a choice. And if it's a choice, it means we can control it. And now, okay, now you might be wondering, but Robert, how is feeling embarrassed a choice? Because if I do something and I fail terribly and there are other people who are seeing it, I just feel embarrassed. I can't stop it. There's no stop button to press and to stop the feeling. And that's a fair concern. That's a fair statement. And I want to give you a reframe here, a different way to look at things. Okay? Because when you do something and you indeed fail and start to get that embarrassment feeling, you start feeling like making yourself small and running away as far as possible. When that happens, why not choose to be proud of you instead? Just be proud of yourself, because you don't have to think about it that you did something, you failed, and you embarrassed yourself. No, you can just think about that you've done one more rep towards building courage. A quality that very few people have these days, by the way. And that is simply how building courage looks like. Not just for you, but for everyone else. That's how it looks and feels like. Okay? And now if you're thinking that, or you're concerned about other people seeing you and laughing at you, because that's a fair concern. That's actually one of the things that I'm terrified of, right? Or at least I used to be terrified of. But I'm trying to implement this courage thing myself. So if you're worried that other people might see you and laugh at you, let me tell you this. The people who would judge you for failing and the people who would laugh in your face are the ones who would never even attempt to do what you just did. They're the people who would just sit on the sidelines and just watch other people and just condemn themselves to a life of witnessing others win and witnessing others get what they want for themselves. That's exactly who is going to laugh at you if you fail and embarrass yourself. So if you think about it, someone laughing at you that's just really their defense mechanism, a way to distract themselves from the fact that they don't really have the courage to do what you just did. They wouldn't have done it and they feel insecure about it. That's why they're trying to hide it. So it's really them who are embarrassed because they wouldn't have had the courage to do that thing and they can't even admit it to themselves. They're trying to hide it. They're so insecure about it that they're trying to place the blame, or they're trying to make other people look bad instead of making themselves accountable. Okay? That's really what's happening there. So, as a conclusion, I would say that feeling embarrassed, sure, failing is inevitable, but feeling embarrassed is really a choice. And it's a choice we make when we fail to understand or we fail to see how courageous the decision to take action actually was, independent of the outcome. Just the simple fact that you took action proves courage. And even when you fail, it's not the actual failure that makes you feel bad. It's your interpretation of the things that just happened that make you feel bad. In other words, it's the conclusions you draw to yourself about what just happened. And so if you manage to implement this reframe in your mind, if you manage to see that what just happened is just another piece of proof that you are courageous, in fact, then you'll never have to feel embarrassed again. Okay? You'll never have to feel embarrassed again. Sure, you'll fail, you'll have to work to achieve your goals, but you don't have to feel embarrassed. Just remember that the people who would have done what you just did, those are not gonna laugh at you. They know what it's like. They probably did it themselves in the past. So they're gonna stick by your side, actually. They're gonna encourage you. And the people who are gonna laugh at you, they're the embarrassed ones who feel bad that they wouldn't have had the power or the strength or the courage, whatever happens to be, to do what you just did. Okay? So hopefully this is going to help you, but we're gonna see each other in the next video. Until next time.